This title is compelling because it emphasizes both the personal struggle and the broader community impact, which are central to the narrative. It's clear, intriguing, and conveys the transformation from personal conflict to community unity. The use of neighborhood bully captures Karen's role in the story, while took down implies a satisfying resolution, making it enticing for viewers to click and discover how the situation unfolds. Malik Thomas, a 39-year-old graphic designer, had spent years in the city, constantly moving at a fast pace, drowning in work and deadlines. It was exhausting. He dreamt of a fresh start, away from the noise and chaos of urban life. So, when he found a quaint house in Asheville, North Carolina, with a private backyard and a pool, it felt like the universe was finally offering him the peace he so desperately sought. It was a Saturday morning, the kind where the sunlight feels warm on your skin, and the world seems to move slower. Malik, in his element, had nothing on his agenda except for relaxation. He poured himself a cold drink, kicked back by the pool, and let the tranquility wash over him. For the first time in years, there was nothing to do but enjoy the silence. As he applied sunscreen, the peacefulness of the moment was shattered. She appeared Karen Whitmore, the self-appointed watchdog of the neighborhood. She was in her mid-50s, with bleached blonde hair, an air of superiority, and a reputation for constantly policing her neighbors. It didn't take long for her to march over to Malik's backyard, her expression already one of disapproval. "Excuse me," Karen called out, her voice sharp and commanding. "What do you think you're doing, applying lotion in full view of my grandchildren?" Malik blinked, trying to process her words. It wasn't like he was naked or doing anything inappropriate. He was simply putting on sunscreen by the pool, minding his own business. But Karen, clearly looking for something to criticize, wasn't letting this go. "I'm just applying sunscreen," Malik said, trying to stay calm. "There's no one around, and I'm on my property." But Karen wasn't listening. "This is indecent," she shot back. "You can't do that where my grandchildren might see Malik, who had spent years dealing with tough clients and intense deadlines, was now facing the absurdity of someone telling him how to live on his own property." But he stayed composed, trying to reason with her. "There's no one here. I'm just trying to relax." Karen, clearly escalating the situation, whipped out her phone. "This is unacceptable. I'm calling the police." "You're a suspicious man, and I'm reporting you for inappropriate behavior." At that moment, Malik's blood ran cold. He didn't know what kind of mess he was about to walk into, but he knew one thing for sure: this woman wasn't going to stop until she made his life miserable. Thankfully, his neighbor Peter Garcia, a retired police officer, had been working in his front yard, just across the street. He'd overheard the commotion and rushed over. Peter was well-liked in the neighborhood, a calm and collected man who had always treated everyone with respect. "What's going on here?" Peter asked, looking at Malik and then at Karen. Karen, not missing a beat, started her rant about suspicious activity and indecency. But Peter, ever the level-headed person, raised his eyebrows. "Malik, I've known this guy for years. There's nothing inappropriate going on here." Karen didn't back down. She continued to talk over Peter, her voice growing louder. Malik could feel the tension rising. This wasn't just about sunscreen anymore. It was about Karen's need to control everything around her. But Peter, sensing the gravity of the situation, pulled out his phone and started recording the encounter. "I'm going to document this," he said calmly. "We'll see if we need to get the police involved." Karen's face reddened with rage. She didn't expect this, but she still dialed 911, claiming there was a suspicious man in the neighborhood. When the officers arrived, they seemed baffled by the whole situation. They listened to Karen's frantic accusations, then looked at Malik, who was standing there, trying to remain composed. "Ma'am, one officer said, turning to Karen. There's nothing illegal happening here. This is a private property matter, and you have no grounds for your complaint. Karen looked like she had just been slapped. The officers continued to question her, and when Peter showed them the video he had recorded, their irritation with her became evident. The officers apologized to Malik and began asking Karen about her past complaints. Malik had no idea how far this situation would spiral. But it wasn't over. The next day, Peter uploaded the video to a private community forum. What followed was a wildfire of activity. Neighbors began to share their own stories about Karen's behavior, how she'd harassed other residents, falsely accused people of breaking HOA rules, and even made racist remarks. The floodgates had opened. People were finally speaking up, and the community wasn't going to let Karen's behavior slide anymore. A local journalist caught wind of the situation and reached out to the residents. They published an article titled, "Suburbia's Watchdog" or "Neighborhood Nuisance." The piece exposed Karen's long history of making unfounded complaints and targeting vulnerable neighbors. Karen's reputation was about to crumble, and she had no idea how bad it would get. At the next HOA meeting, things reached a boiling point. The room was packed with neighbors, all eager to share their grievances. Karen, trying to defend herself, spoke over everyone, but it was clear that her support was dwindling. The evidence against her emails, photos, doorbell footage, and even the video of her tantrum was irrefutable, one by one. Neighbors stood up, recounting their experiences with Karen. Each story seemed worse than the last. People had endured her bullying for far too long. They had been afraid to speak out, but now, with the truth coming to light, they had found their voice. Finally, the vote was called. The HOA voted unanimously to suspend Karen's voting rights and remove her from the Community Outreach Committee. The decision was a resounding slap in the face to her sense of entitlement. She stormed out of the meeting, humiliated. Malik couldn't help but feel a sense of vindication. He had stood up for himself, but more importantly, he had helped give a voice to all the other people who had been silenced by Karen's manipulations. That night, as the neighborhood settled down from the meeting, he looked out over his backyard and felt a sense of peace that had eluded him for so long. Within a week, Karen's house was up for sale. The community breathed a collective sigh of relief. To celebrate the end of Karen's reign, the neighborhood threw a block party at Malik's house. People gathered around, grilling burgers, drinking beers, and basking in the warmth of the summer evening. There were no complaints, no judgments, just good times and genuine connection. Malik had created a new kind of peace in the neighborhood, not just for himself, but for everyone around him. As they sat around the fire pit, Peter raised his glass. "To standing up for what's right," he said, a smile on his face. "And to making this place a little better for all of us." Malik smiled and clinked his glass against Peter's. "To community," he said. From that day forward, Malik could relax by his pool without fear, and every time he applied sunscreen, he couldn't help but smile. Remembering that sometimes standing your ground is the first step to bringing about the change that everyone needs.